Welcome to part 3 of Meet LoaderMax. In this segment I'll show you how to take advantage of properties and methods common to multiple loader classes, how the LoaderMax display architecture simplifies interaction with loaded assets, and how to use loader features by passing a simple object to a loader class during instantiation. Let's take a look first at common properties and methods across loaders. LoaderMax ease of use is promoted by sharing common properties and methods among multiple loaders. All loaders use properties like content and name for accessing specific loader instances among many possible loaders, load status and progress, the load time of any loading process, which is the elapsed time since the load was initiated and can be used to check bandwidth or report the expected remaining time for a load, whether or not a load is paused, as well as the number of bytes already loaded and the number of total bytes for each asset. Common methods include load, pause, resume, prioritize, unload and cancel, as well as audit size, which automatically determines the size of an asset for accurate progress reporting, and dispose, which will automatically clean up after a loader, including removing any event listener and optionally automatically unloading the loaded assets. Two other common properties are also worthy of note here. The first is the ability to automatically create a cache buster URL to prevent caching of loaded assets simply by setting the no cache property to true. And the second is a way to provide an alternate URL for an automatic second chance at loading an asset if the first load failed using the primary URL. Loaders for images, SWIFTs, and video also share properties common to visual assets. Some examples include the ability to automatically smooth images, create a center registration point for any loaded asset for improved manipulation like rotating or flipping, for example, set initial display properties like X, Y, scale X, scale Y, rotation, alpha, and blend mode, and these become effective immediately upon loading the asset, scale an asset to a specified size using exact fit or proportional scaling methods. For example, you can stretch in all directions or adjust only the width or only the height without maintaining aspect ratio. Or you can proportionally scale the asset by constraining it to the smallest of the width or height value provided, and that's said to be proportional inside those dimensions. Or scale proportionally to the larger of those two values, which is said to be proportional outside, showing the full size of the asset within those constraints. You can also align the asset horizontally and vertically, and optionally autoplay MP3, SWIFT, or video assets upon completion of the load. Many of these features are made possible by the Content Display class, which extends Sprite in pure AS3 projects, or the Flex Content Display class, which extends UI Component when using MXML. By defining a width and height for the loaded asset when instantiating a loader, a rectangle is drawn inside the display wrapper so you can accomplish things like the aforementioned scaling and alignment, as well as the ability to manipulate display properties of assets before they're even loaded, the ability to interact with the assets immediately, including receiving events such as rollovers correctly, and working with width, height, and bounds all before the load is complete. The rect is invisible by default, but you can control its color and alpha with the BG color and BG alpha properties if you want to create an automatic background. I'll do that in a moment to demonstrate scaling and alignment in an upcoming source example. Okay, here's an example of invoking some of these features by using a simple object as one of the arguments sent to a loader constructor during instantiation. In this case, the container property is used, which allows you to automatically add the loaded visual asset as a child of any display object container. Prevents you having to say add child, for example. The X and Y coordinates are set, which is where the center of the asset will be positioned thanks to the automatic creation of a center registration point, and the rotation property is set to 45 degrees. If you prefer not to write the object inline, here's another syntax you can use to achieve the same goal, defining the object first and then just passing the object reference into the constructor. Let's look at a source file, 3 image loader enhanced, to demonstrate some of these features. We'll see the use of an object to set the properties, the use of the container property and the center registration point property, and the assignment of the width and height properties to take advantage of scaling and alignment. Again, in this case, I've set the color of the invisible rect so you can see the effect of the scaling and the alignment settings.